You are listening to SPN, the Sports Podcasting Network.
وتل من هناك لشوارشتايجر جول.
Va a pegarle Ronaldinho Gaucho. Ya lo hace. Pierna derecha, directo al arco. ¡Golazo! 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 ¡Golazo!
This is Soccer Today, live on SPN Radio, your new live show about the beautiful game in all its glory, with Duane, Rollins and Kevin Laramee. MLS, EPL, La Liga, Champions League, all is fair game. Powered by the Sports Podcasting Network. Visit us at sportspodcastingnetwork.com.
Good day, good night, and welcome to Soccer Today. Duane Rollins is on assignment today. I am joined by my good friend, special co-host for today, Daniel Feuerstein of Once a Metro. Daniel, how are you doing today?
Doing very well, Kevin. Thank you for having me on the show, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I can really sense it.
Yeah, it's been a while we haven't talked about soccer, so what better platform than Soccer Today to talk about soccer? One story we'll start here. We'll finish with the deadline day today. A little recap of yesterday in England and Europe quickly. We'll talk about the World Cup qualifiers in the third segment. We'll talk about New York, of course, the Red Bulls, and New York City FC. But let's start, Daniel, with what is catching my attention in the last few days. Nigel de Jong and the LA Galaxy have decided to part ways, and apparently Major League Soccer and everybody else is quite happy about it, Daniel.
Of course we are. Are you kidding me? I mean, look, let's be honest with ourselves here. This is a player. We know that he plays hard. We know that he plays hard. He plays strong. He always puts himself, unfortunately, in positions where, let's just say, he destroys other players' careers. And that's the truth. I mean, let's face it. Darlington Nagbe is grateful he's not on that list because we all know how hard of a tackler de Jong is. He's reckless out in the field. You would like to think at an elder age that he would learn to stop doing these types of but unfortunately doesn't know how to do it. And let's also be honest, Xavi Alonso also lucky enough to just get cleat boot stud marks on his chest and stomach in that World Cup final between the Netherlands and Spain. So there's another player you can say who got lucky in keeping his career when he got karate kicked in the solar plexus. So
there's a video that's been viral since yesterday that MLS themselves retweeted, talked about. It's a highlight, but I would say it's a low light of de Jong's career in Major League Soccer. It's all his hard and bad tackles, the one he's been red carded with, the one that he's getting fouled on. It's a highlight of those moments. So it's a really tough minute to watch because you see a lot of players get injured and everybody retweets it. Oh, de Jong, good riddance, bye, won't have this anymore. But it leaves a lot of people uneasy because, look, it's the entire league and it's the league itself that's taking time to acknowledge the fact that this player was reckless and they're making a joke out of it. Like, some players are injured still because of him. So it left a lot of people uneasy.
Yeah, it really, really did. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. When this signing was done originally for him to come over, I didn't like it. I shouldn't say I didn't approve of it. I just didn't like it. And de Jong, unfortunately for him, has a history of dangerous tackles, terrible tackles, breaking legs, breaking ankles. I mean, why was he even brought here in the first place? I understand Bruce Arena wanted to bring in veteran help and everything, but the truth of the matter is this, is that if you want to bring in veteran help, you shouldn't have brought this guy over. And thankfully, he's over in Galatasaray right now, and so he is their problem. And here's the thing. Call me crazy. This could be probably the best signing Galatasaray and the Turkish first division will ever have, because I'm telling you right now, I think he would work in Turkey. And look, one slight bad challenge, and he's going to have to fend for himself.
Literally. When you talk about this situation, Bruce Arena made a comment that went a little bit unnoticed a few days ago, but got me boiled up, got me my blood boiling. He talked about how MLS and even our fan here in LA are not necessarily equipped to acknowledge the type of work rate and what the Jong bring to a team, we're not savvy enough to understand how good he is. Really? Really? All right, Bruce. Whatever, Bruce. It's Bruce being Bruce and doing Bruce things and saying Bruce things once again, just to true. I don't know. But for me, is for the league itself, he was a reckless player. He was in a situation where he had a weird contract, a small amount of money for this 6 months, and it was never necessarily planned for the future. But I just don't agree with Bruce. I think this league, we're not playing this type of game, and maybe we shouldn't. Maybe ankles and knees are going to feel a lot better going forward.
Absolutely. And I think everyone's already taking a sigh of relief. And now everyone is saying, Bruce, we used to hate you. Now we love you again. It's okay. You did the right thing. Send him off. Send him away. It's all over. Say goodbye. Because we don't need a player like Nigel de Jong in Major League Soccer. And I think Darlington Nagbe is going to give Bruce Arena a phone call.
Now, when you look at the Galaxy, have they impressed you this year? Because they had a little bit of trouble in the beginning, but they adjusted themselves, and now there's fourth. They're probably going to finish around fourth in the Western Conference. Are you surprised by the Galaxy, or the Galaxy are going to start to amass most amount of points? Because we're getting close to Galaxy time, right? It's getting close to the end of the season. That's where usually the Galaxy steps up and gets into a streak of form heading into the playoff. Will we see that, in your opinion, with the Galaxy this year?
I have to be honest with you, Kevin. For some reason, I think they will stay strong before they get to the playoffs. I just have a funny feeling that they're going to probably either get into the Western Conference semifinals and probably blow it there. I don't think they're going to go into the MLS Cup final this year.
Well, the team that's getting older, right? We have a old DP, Steven Gerrard, have Robbie Keane, that are in the wrong side of 30, if you want to use that expression. They do have Sardes, but they have lost a lot over the years in the back line, in the defensive midfield. The famous De Jong now, but before there was the Gonzalez departure that I think was maybe underrated. Those situations leaves a backline in Galaxy that's conceding a little bit more goals, like 0.5 goals than usual. But at the end of the season, might be the difference between the home field advantage and maybe playing on the road.
Well, there's a problem, actually. I don't know if you saw this or not, but apparently while I was watching the NASL Game of the Week on CBS Sports Network, Giassi Zardes, I believe, has an injured right foot, so he's not going to be available right now for either the USA or for the LA Galaxy. So, that's going to be a big issue for the Galaxy going down the road on the offensive side of the ball. We know Robbie Keane can still score, but I just right now I don't know. There's a situation involving Giassi Zardes with an injured right foot. So we'll have to see how Bruce Arena is going to handle this one. But once again, Kevin, this is a situation where for the Galaxy, I mean, Bruce has been around the block before. He knows what he needs to do. But at the same time, is it enough for the Galaxy to make that big push, to make that big run to MLS Cup final, and to do what the Galaxy has done for a long time? Once again, Landon Donovan is no longer playing. So that's going to be a big thing. Will having all these veterans coming over from Europe as well as from South America, will they be the ones to help push the Galaxy back into the championship final and win that championship? That remains to be seen.
And talking about the Galaxy, let's go to the Western Conference as a whole. FC Dallas continuing his great pace. One team that's a little bit dropped off the pace is Colorado Rapids. They had a tough defeat last week. Yes, a penalty saved by Tim Howard, but that wasn't enough to propel them to victory. What do you think about the Rapids and their quick ascent early this season? They had a over 2-point points per game average at the 1/3 point of the season. Now it's 2/3. They're dropped a little. What's your thought about Colorado this year?
Well, obviously, what makes this team go is Jermaine Jones. Jermaine Jones with a bit of an injury, I believe. So they're falling down a little bit. But, I think he'll be back for the big playoff push. Let's give the Rapids credit here because, for them to last this long, to be at the top end of the Western Conference table, they did some great things. And, you feel bad for a guy like Zach McMath who, he did great things in goal. And I know they wanted to get better and stronger in net. And that was Tim Howard. And Timmy has always shown to be the top class keeper he's always been. So, all you can say is this: is there a reason to panic in the Denver area? I would say no. I would say that they're going when Jermaine Jones gets back, and I think they still have enough to really show what they're made of and what they're worth. And I think that the Rapids is just a slight little blip, and they'll get back on their horse and they'll challenge FC Dallas for the top spot because, let's be honest with ourselves here. While you're expecting the same old, I think this is great to see. This is great to see the Rapids and FC Dallas, fighting hard, fighting big for the top spot. And you're seeing the rest of the Western Conference, and that includes Seattle and Portland and the Galaxy. Not saying that you don't want to see them, just to say that it's nice to get a bit of a change once in a while.
When we look at the standings as we speak, below that famous red line, there's two teams that nobody expected to be there earlier this season. The Seattle Sounders in 8th position and the Vancouver Whitecaps in 9. Both teams, 2 of the 3 teams in Cascadia, even the third one is on the cusp of 6 right now, are struggling to maintain consistency this year. And if you look at the Whitecaps, are struggling to get results consistently to get them to bridge that gap. There's a 9-point gap between not the team battling for a playoff, but the top teams of the Western Conference. Seattle, they have the Dempsey situation. They part ways with Siggy Schmidt. Oba Martins got off-season shipped somewhere else and never really was replaced. There's Lodero that's there now, that's doing great things, but it's a little bit underrated. What is your thought on Seattle in the last stretch of this season? And do they have a chance of qualifying for the playoff, or would it be for the first time in their history missing that boat?
You know what? When Lodero did come over, and then they sacked Ziggy Schmidt, which I felt they should have just let him finish off the season, and bring in Lodero at the same time if they would have kept Ziggy. I felt that this signing could change things around, and in some ways it has changed things around, Kevin. Obviously, standings wise, it's still a bit of a long shot to make the playoffs. But I'll say this right now, Walter. Either San Jose or Seattle, if they can get on a run, they can definitely catch up to Portland. We'll see what happens. If not, then Portland will remain that final spot. So at the moment, it's a battle for the final spot. But once again, you're seeing why Lodero is going to make Seattle a better side next year. Now, whoever they're going to use, either their assistant, who was their USL head coach, Schwarzer, to be the head coach of the Sounders. I don't think it's a bad idea to keep the guy that was once the head coach when they were in the USL before they got Siggy Schmidt. But if they do find someone else that's available, then they'll find someone else who's available. San Jose has always been a hit or miss side. It doesn't matter what year you're seeing Wondolowski scoring over 25 goals a year or whenever he's flat out terrible. San Jose has been a hit or miss side. And I don't know how much longer they're going to remain near the, just below the red line for the playoff. I think San Jose will miss more. I think Seattle will make a run of it. I think it depends on how many more games are left against the Timbers. Maybe this is it, that there's no more left. But still, I believe Seattle, if they just edge the Timbers, I think they can, just make the playoffs. San Jose, I think they're done.
Yeah, San Jose seems to be done. A team that, since they have the new stadium, Avaya Stadium, never seemed to get that final push to go back to their former glory. Yeah, they changed coach, Dominic Kinnear back in the fold after leaving Houston Dynamo. So you have that aspect of San Jose, but it's odd or even years. Usually they're good in even years, but it's not the case. They were bad last year, they're bad this year. So for San Jose, it's kind of like they made so much gain in the Bay Area with the new stadium and everything, and it seems like on the pitch it never translated to bigger and better things.
No, never did. And you know what? That's the shame of it, though. And unfortunately for the Earthquakes, they were so used to being over in a short field. I mean, we remember Spartan Stadium when they came back as the Clash first and then rebranded back to Earthquakes. And then they went over to Stamford, Connecticut's soccer stadium, which is a nice stadium. Yeah. This is like what, the second year of Avaya Stadium? Yep. It's going to take time. There are sometimes, look, we know the Impact are strong at Stade Saputo. That was never a question at all. It's just been added on with a much more better situation, how it looks now. Obviously, it feels more intimate. Red Bull Arena feels very intimate, 25,000 seat ground at Harrison, New Jersey. I mean, sometimes there are some teams that are just not yet used to playing in a brand new stadium that they're just getting underway. I mean, look at the Galaxy when they opened up, when it was originally called the Home Depot Center. I mean, how many years it took the Galaxy just to get used to playing in their own stadium. I mean, that's a wide field. And I remember some teams, even when the Red Bulls came to Home Depot / StubHub Center in the past, Red Bulls, when there used to be the Metro Stars were used to playing on a wide field, and they took advantage. So it's going to take time. It might take time for some. It takes others, right away. We're nice and comfortable in our own stadium. So, give the Earthquake some more time. I mean, look, it's not the end of the world, and then it'll become a better place for them down the road.
All right, let's take a quick break, Daniel. When we come back, we will be talking about the Eastern Conference and the New York Red Bulls.
You are listening to Soccer Today, live on SPN Radio. Visit sportspodcastingnetwork.com for more.
Now, Daniel, is Jesse Marsch a candidate for Coach of the Year again this year?
I would like to think so. I mean, seeing how the Red Bulls got started this year and, one win out of the first 7 games of the season to start off 2016. I mean, no one wants to start off like that, obviously. After you win the Supporters' Shield, and then you make a big run to get to the Eastern Conference Final, unfortunately losing it, not going to the MLS Cup Final again, but still. I mean, I would like to think that here's a guy, and so many people assuming, well, how is Jesse going to get this team back on track? What's going to happen here? What's going to happen there? What is going to go with the Red Bulls? Because all of a sudden, they are in a position where no one thought, how are they going to dig themselves out of such a big hole like this? And they have. And it's a miracle that they actually were able to dig out of the hole. I would have to say, I go to training every single time I go to the Red Bulls training facility in Hanover, New Jersey. And I have to say that they worked hard. They worked really hard. I mean, not saying that, no one else in this league works hard, but, they worked hard to get back to where they wanted to be. And I mean, Sacha Kljestan, leading in the assists this year in the league. Of course, he breaks the club record for most assists in a season, passing Thierry Henry. And look at this. We're still talking about Thierry Henry, even though he's retired. But and now he's the assistant coach in Belgium. Exactly. How about them, the Apples, huh? Unbelievable. But
yeah, exactly. Well, you know why? Because he can do this and TV, not with Arsenal.
That's true. That's very, very true.
But no, just to go back to the Red Bulls. The Red Bulls, something weird. They might have taken at least one time every position in the standing in the Eastern Conference at one point this season. They were last, they were ninth, they were eighth, they were seventh, they were sixth, they were fifth, they were fourth, now they're third. They're probably going to be second, and by the end of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if they're first. That's the type of season New York Red Bulls had. A atrocious beginning of the season, and a turnaround by a team that never stopped believing and just continued to do what propelled them last year to the Supporters' Shield victory. Is they continue to play together as a team. No big ego, no one person bigger than the team. That's Felipe, Kljestan, all included in that mix. What's surprising about Kljestan for you this season? Now he's back in the fold. He will be a very important cog in the game tomorrow for the U.S. men's national team. What is your thought on Kljestan in 2016?
Well, first things first, he deserved it. He earned it. And even though John Brooks, it was a bad back that he had to step down from his qualifying roster spot that allowed Sacha Kljestan to come back in. Sacha individually, I think he just improved dramatically, and he's just on par and on the same page with Bradley Wright Phillips, with Mike Grella, with now with Alex Mule taking over that right wing midfield position from Lloyd Sam, who's with DC United at the moment. Just being in tune with what Jesse Marsch is trying to do. We all know Dax McCarty is the captain of the New York Red Bulls. That is no question about he's the captain of the club. But sometimes with Sasha, being on the offensive side of the ball, he is also dictating what needs to be done. He's dictating what Marsch's, commands are. Not so much commands, but what the game plan is. Every single week, they go either on the road or at home. He is the one that is telling the players where to be in position. Get ready for this. Get ready for that. He's been deadly on set pieces, corners, free kicks. He's been known now to just, put the ball in the best position for an attacker, or even on corners. You saw against New York City FC, Ronald Zubar, who is known not just to be a top-notch, tough defender and solid, tackler, but he can also run into space, and he can go with a power header, and he beats the keeper. He did that in Denver, at the Colorado Rapids earlier in the year, when they weren't even scoring goals. And then he does it again in a big derby match against New York City FC at Red Bull Arena. So to be honest with you, I think Kleiston has improved. He's gotten better. He looks more confident, more comfortable with the surrounding cast, and he just looks more dangerous than anyone else, and finally gets rewarded by going with the national team, finally getting this call up, even though it's on an emergency basis. Still, he earned it, he deserved it, and he is right now with the national team down in St. Vincent Grenadines.
Now, one player that my Montreal listeners will want to have an update on is Felipe. How is Felipe doing in New York? He was an important cog last year, a little bit more defensive role, but helping the ball transition forward. How is his 2016 season in New York?
I think his 2016 season has been absolutely fantastic. Felipe, you probably seen it earlier in the year against Houston. A long distance rip that leveled the match at 3, and that was one of the wackiest games earlier in the year. And then, of course, he felt it on a free kick, and he told Sasha, "I'll take this one. You can go ahead and relax." And now he bombed the net into the upper near 90 to make it 4-3 to get that winner. Felipe, I think you know as well as I do, not only is he solid as a defender in the midfield, but he can definitely dictate a match all by himself. And now that Sasha Kleiston will be with the U.S. national team, the Red Bulls are going to be in Vancouver this coming Saturday evening on the East Coast at 7 o'clock, 4 o'clock Pacific in Vancouver time on the West Coast. You're going to see Felipe now taking over Kleiston's spot. And that also means probably Tyler Adams will be playing in Felipe's spot along with Sean Davis, and Sean Davis has done a fantastic job taking over for Dax McCarty when he got injured with that fractured tibia plateau, which thankfully it heals very quickly, that injury. Kemar Lawrence will be with Jamaica as well, called up for the national team. So you're going to see someone take over on a wide spot, probably be Sal Zizou on one side with Chris Duval on the other. So right now, this is where your depth comes in when you've got your top-notch players playing for their national teams in World Cup qualifying. So I think the Red Bulls will be fine. Whether or not they win in Vancouver, they have not won in or against the Whitecaps since they came into Major League Soccer. Was it 2 losses and a couple of draws? So hopefully the unbeaten streak will continue. If they do get 3 points, 3 points is a necessity here. Of course, they're just third place in the East. 1 point behind New York City FC and 3 points behind Toronto FC. And, of course, we all know what happened with Giovinco, unfortunately, with the strained leg muscles. But still, I think this has been a great season where – here's the thing, Kevin. In the history of this club, there has been 2 seasons where either as the Metro Stars or as the Red Bulls, they've had a terrible start and they've never been able to recover from it. They have recovered from a terrible start, and you've never, ever seen this before. So I think right now, all alone, Jesse Marsch deserves Manager of the Year.
And it's a topic that me and Duane touch upon a lot. We believe the Red Bulls are the best team right now in the Eastern Conference because the results and the way they play the game, the results are justifiable. For New York, for NYCFC over the last few months, they get results, but they're more, I don't want to say fluke results, but they're individual effort to get the winning goal, a David Villa going on a run and scoring. Those type of things are hard to replicate and are hard to justify, hard to predict. As for the Red Bulls, the way they play, the way they get the result, it's more a team concept. It's more a replicable type of result. And that is one of the reasons why Duane and I believe that the Red Bulls are probably still, maybe not the front runner because Toronto, but with Giovinco's injury, you never know what's going to happen with Toronto. The Red Bulls might have a shot of winning the Eastern Conference again this year.
Here's the thing. And, this will make Duane happy, I think, because, I was on the Red Bull Rant podcast earlier in the year before the season got underway. And those guys are great as well. Jason Iapicco, Truman, and Pat McDonald. This is what I said to them. I picked Toronto to win the East. I picked Toronto to win the Shield, all because of not just what Giovinco has done, but, what Michael Bradley has been doing, what Josie Altidore has been doing, and of course, acquiring Will Johnson, I thought was the big key for Toronto to win the Supporters' Shield. Of course, some people looked at me like, "Are you crazy, Toronto?" I said, "Yeah, Toronto. Why? Just because? Why? Because I just decided to pick a name out of the hat because I didn't go with the Red Bulls first." But here's the thing: I picked Toronto to win the Shield this year. So 5 points behind Dallas. And I don't know if you've played Dallas. They've played Dallas yet. I mean, we'll see what happens. But, look, if you got a side that has Will Johnson, Michael Bradley in the midfield, Josie Altidore, Giovinco up top, I mean, come on. Seriously. I mean, that's a club I wouldn't mind having. Not saying I don't want what I have at the Red Bulls, but, if you're asking me, which club outside the Red Bulls that you want to pick this year to win the Shield, I'll be honest with you. I thought Toronto FC has a great chance to win the Shield. Can they win the East? Right now, that's a big question mark because of the injury to Giovinco. You need Josie right now to snap out of whatever it is. And I love Josie. I miss Josie. I wish he was still with the Red Bulls, but, that's not possible. He's with Toronto. We all know how injury plagued he is and all that stuff. But still, I did pick Toronto to win the Shield. And if they didn't win the Shield, then I said, look, the only way the Red Bulls win the East is if they don't win the Shield, because I figured, you got to give some respect to a Western Conference side and give FC Dallas tons of credit for what they have done. Not only are the Red Bulls using, youth and their academy players to be used for the future, FC Dallas has started this a long time ago. FC Dallas has at least maybe one or two players that you need that are veterans, to show some guidance at least. What they have showed with, all their academy players, they're doing the damage. And you know what? They should be selling out at Toyota Field over in Frisco. They have to. Look at all the wonderful, talented players they have that are going to play for the U.S. national team, for the Mexico's national team, Colombia's national team, whichever country these kids come from. They're growing up in the FC Dallas Youth Academy, and they're being used. I mean, look at Victor Ulloa. I mean, he was probably going to get cut before the season got underway. And here comes Oscar Pereira, coming in, who knew him before he went to Colorado to manage, and he kept him. And Ulloa, look what he did in the U.S. Open Cup semifinal against the LA Galaxy at the StubHub Center. How about that game winner in, towards the end of extra time? I mean, that match was probably heading to penalties. And look what he did. Wide open on the header, and he scores to make it 2-1, and then that was it.
Yeah, no, FC Dallas is a very surprising, and it's fun to see academy players not just getting playing time, but getting the confidence of the coach, getting that, because playing time is playing time. But if your playing time is not, if you're going to be judged on every single mistake that you do and don't get a second chance to play, what's the point? And we've seen the exact opposite with Dallas. We've seen them lose 5-0, 4-0, 3-0. Hey, when it rains, it pours. But when they win big. And that's the high ceiling of the youth and the talent and the skills that the young FC Dallas prospect do have.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right there, Kevin. And let me just say this, seeing what I have seen with the Red Bulls, I'm going to give everyone a fair warning right now. The kid's name is Derek Etienne Jr. What he can do with the ball is absolutely scary. I mean, what he can do with the ball, bringing up the ball, passing the ball, crossing the ball, scoring goals. This kid right now, who is of Haitian descent, and he just rejected a call up from Haiti with these current World Cup qualifiers because Haiti's probably they're out of it in group, I believe in Group A or B. I keep forgetting which group they're in the semifinals for World Cup qualifying.
They're in Group B with Costa Rica, Panama,
right.
and the Reggae Boys, Jamaica.
That's right. And Panama as well. So, Haiti is done and dusted. So there's no way you're going to see Haiti advance to the hexagonal this year, even though Haiti has great talent coming up through the system and everything, wherever they have.
It's a question of infrastructures and not the development to the low level, but development at the high performance level.
Exactly. So, right now for Haiti, they're gone. They've got only 1 point. Even if they do win their next two, it's going to be impossible for them to advance at least. So, Especially hosting Costa Rica. And then, of course, Jamaica's coming down. They got to go to Jamaica, on September the 6th. So, all I can say is that good luck. Good luck, kids. You're going to need it. But still, though, there's no way they're going to get out of the move on to the hexagonal.
Well, let's take a break. And when we come back, we will focus on the World Cup qualifiers, talk about the U.S. men's national team playing tomorrow against St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Canada, Honduras, yes. Tomorrow is the day, and we have to talk about it. We'll talk about it after this break. You're listening to Soccer Today on SPN Radio. You can find the on-demand version of this very show on iTunes, Stitcher, Feedburner, Podbay Player, Podbean, anywhere you get your podcasts under the Sports Podcasting Network feed. Subscribe to our YouTube page to make sure you never miss a live show talking about soccer today, the MLS postgame show, open lines after dark, 5 rings daily during the Olympics. Make sure you subscribe and give us a follow on Twitter at SportsPodNet and like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Sports Podcasting Network. World Cup qualifiers. 4 years ago, Daniel, it was a tough weekend for Canada. I don't know if you can remember, we kind of got a little bit beat up by Honduras, and tomorrow is that day again.
Say this, I felt the pain. I felt the pain on Twitter. I felt the pain reading about what happened down there. It was it was terrible to see Canada fall the way they did to Honduras. Now, for some of you out there wondering about this American, why would I feel bad for Canada? Because my feeling is this. In this region, this confederation of CONCACAF, we are the North Zone. That is Canada, the United States, and Mexico. The North Zone, in my opinion, should always be the tough, the top, the best sides in this confederation
when you
from
look
this
at
side of everything in the northern end of the confederation. I always feel Canada should be in the same discussion as a tough opponent like the United States, like Mexico.
Well, with their budget and the resources that they do have, those three countries, they should be at the top of that standings because, let's face it, some teams, and let's call a spade, some teams in the Caribbean don't have the same setup, same resources, if not totally on a different scale than Canada, which is at a different scale than U.S., which is a different scale than Mexico itself.
Exactly. But still, though, let's be honest with ourselves here right now. This is an excellent opportunity for Canada, not just to get revenge on Honduras, not just to, make themselves feel better after what happened in last cycle's semifinal round. I think right now, the way Honduras has played and the way that Honduras has not done well, this is an excellent opportunity for Canada to get 3 points and to secure that second spot that puts them into the hexagonal for the first time since qualifying for France for the 1998 World Cup.
Yeah, for the hexagonal. They lost in the hexagonal for France. But yes, the last time they went to the hexagonal was for the 1998 World Cup. Canada is third right now with 4 points equal with Honduras, but Honduras is second on goal differential right now. Mexico is already qualified for the next stage with 12 points. So they won all their games. Honduras 4 points. They're -1 to differential. And Canada is -4. Canada has to get a result or not get destructed, literally, to have a chance to get that second position. And it would be easiest if they just beat Honduras outright. Then it would be totally another discussion. So we'll have that. But same as on the Grenadines tomorrow, United States, they're already eliminated. Same as on the Grenadines. So it's going to be between TNT, United States, and Guatemala for the top 2 spot. Do you see any danger for the U.S., or is it going to be smooth sailing from now on in those 2 games remaining?
Let me just say this, and usually I would probably show a lot of confidence in the United States. I would show a lot of bravado maybe for the United States in a situation like this. Let me be very clear and let me be very honest with everybody. This is CONCACAF. You would like to think the United States has an advantage over St. Vincent Grenadines. If St. Vincent Grenadines comes out guns a-blazing to try to knock out the United States from a result that they need, this is going to be a very tough day. Now, obviously, it's at 3:30 in the afternoon on the East Coast. They're playing it on a cricket pitch. So
by the way, they're playing it at that time because there's no floodlight. That's the reason why they're playing during the day.
Okay, that's fine.
Because there's no light at that stadium. Literally.
That's fine. And I figured that was a reason for something like that. But still, let me just say once again, this until the United States, and everyone's probably laughing at me right now over in Canada, but I'm being serious here. You guys seen what happened with Canada going against Honduras. It doesn't matter. This is still CONCACAF. The United States needs to pour in, and I'm just being maybe sarcastic, but I'm not trying to sound sarcastic. They got to pour in 10 goals. It's got to be a 10-0 victory. It's got to be, 10, 11, 12, 20 goals if they can. I'm not saying it's got to be like what Australia did to American Samoa a long time ago, but the truth of the matter is this. They got to go down to the Caribbean. They got to get a result. They need to pour it in.
Do they need to show that they can play without Dempsey and Zardes? Is that important? Because
yes, it is.
Josie is now the striker for the U.S. men's national team. It's a good timing, at least. He's back from injury for almost a month, so the fitness is there now. At probably not the fittest guy. He's fit as Josie could be, but for Josie, he's in a good form right now. So the timing of the Dempsey injury is not good, obviously, but it's better than it could have been. If it was a few months ago, Josie would not have been available. How important is the loss of Dempsey for the U.S. men's national team? I asked this question to Charles Baum yesterday. And is it that important, or is it the timing of it now rather than the hex? Is it better for the U.S. that maybe, hopefully, Dempsey's irregular heartbeat situation will be under control by then?
Well, first things first, let's all wish Clint Dempsey a healthy recovery back, because that's a scary thing. Anything to do with the heart is a scary injury. Right now, this gives opportunity to Sacha Kljestan. This gives opportunity to everyone else on this roster to be offensively focused. And I think what Sasha's going to do is this. If he can do for Jesse Marsh and the Red Bulls what he could do for Jurgen Klinsmann and the U.S. national team, I believe that for the USA, they will be just as they were, a dangerous side, a side you cannot trifle with. You cannot make a mistake. I think Kljestan is a different type of attacking midfielder, shall we say. This time, Josie Altidore is going to have to rely on players like Sasha. And at the same time, I think Michael Bradley's going to have to learn a little bit now. There are times where he can bring up the ball himself to set up a play. There's going to be times he's going to have to distribute the ball to Kljestan so Kljestan can continue the play himself. There's always been this bridge that I think that Michael Bradley's game has been missing, and missing a type of player like Kljestan to help him distribute the ball better.
Well,
we're not saying to Michael, you're taking a break. What we're saying is you're getting extra help.
Well, is he too deep? That's my question with Bradley. And even watching him with Toronto,
he's way too deep. I'll be honest with you right now. Michael Bradley, I love Michael. I know he likes to play in a deep position.
But he's not fast enough anymore.
He's got to be a little bit more towards the attacking side.
Well,
let someone else bring up the ball.
Yeah, because I was figuring he's not at the beginning of his career, and yeah, it's different. But a lot of travel, a lot of leg injuries for Bradley over the years. So when you watch him playing as deep as he is with Toronto or the U.S. men's national team lately, he seems to going forward, but he's missing that spark to finally generate that final pass. If you start him a little higher up the pitch, so maybe one position higher, he will have that space to get that pass, maybe exploit more his offensive attributes than defensive. I don't know if it's this conductive to the roster they do have. Maybe they don't have a choice, but as much as for Toronto and the U.S. men's national team, maybe playing him a little bit higher on the pitch will provoke more spark offensively.
That's what he has to do. I mean, look, Michael Bradley has to understand. How old is he right now? At least in his early 30s. Am I correct or no?
I think he's early 30s. I think he's like 32 if I'm not mistaken. But
okay, he's 32 years old, so he's still in the prime of his career. But at the same time, Michael Bradley has to understand that, listen, and even Jurgen Klinsmann has to understand this and tell Michael Bradley, stop playing so deep. You want to bring the ball up? Fine. I understand that. Let someone bridge you the ball. Let someone have you between not just the defensive end, but at least be attacking with the ball with the offensive players.
Just turned 29. He just looks way older.
Okay, that's fine. It's the bald head. But anyway.
And that's called genes. That comes from his father. It's not his fault.
Yeah, I know. It's the Bradley trait. We have to forgive them for that. But honestly, Michael Bradley has to start, accepting the ball at a higher part of the field. I know he wants to feel like he's doing more. He wants to be that two-way player. I think he's got to now, and even Jurgen Klinsmann has to tell him, Michael, please stay up top. Stay with the offensive players. Stay with the attacking midfielders and the strikers, because we'll get you the ball. But, if he's going to remain stubborn and stay, bringing up the ball from such a deep position, then that's where Sasha Kleiston comes in. Let Kleiston be that bridge to help Michael Bradley attack the ball going towards the net. And now you have a dual threat with set pieces, especially at the corners. Michael Bradley can take a set piece. Sasha Kleiston can now take a set piece. Both men can definitely, if they work well together, great communication together. Michael, okay, you'll take the corners on the far side. Sasha, you'll take the corners on the near side. And that's a dual threat right there that the U.S. national team probably hasn't had in a very, very long time.
Just to wrap up the qualifying right now, as it stands in all the groups. So we have Group A. This is the third round of qualification. The next round, it's fourth round, sorry. The next round is the hexagonal. They had it around 2 years ago.
Yes.
Mexico, Honduras are the first two teams in Group A, followed by Canada and El Salvador. El Salvador has a very long shot of qualification, only 2 points after 4 games. They're not outright eliminated, but they are. Canada third, they have a shot. They're equal on points with Honduras. It's going to be about the tiebreakers and the game against each other. Group B, Costa Rica first with 10 points. Panama second with 7. The Reggae Boys, Jamaica third with 4 points. It's going to be a tough task this year for the Jamaica just to qualify for the Hex. Never mind the World Cup. We have Group B, fourth, Haiti. Like we talked earlier, only 1 point, Daniel. They're not eliminated, but they're getting really close to it. Group C, Trinidad and Tobago, 10 points. They got easier games. They played all their games. They got not lucky, but they got a draw against the United States and won the rest of their games. So they're top of the group so far. U.S. second with 7 points. Guatemala 6 points for third position. And Saint Vincent and the Grenadines 0 points with a whopping minus 16 of goal differentials.
Yep, very, very true. And all you can say is this. For what is going on over here, if you're going to have me tied, with my one hand tied behind my back and say, well, who do you think is going to go to the hexagonal? Here's who I think is a very disappointment that does not go to the hexagonal. That's Jamaica. After what they did in the last Gold Cup, they went to the semifinals. They beat the United States, and fine, they lost to Mexico 3-0, 4-0. We expected Mexico to be a powerhouse to win the championship. But since then, in World Cup qualifying for Jamaica, they have been a very, very disappointed side. Winifred Schaefer, with everything that Jamaica has done, now they're on the verge of maybe being eliminated from going to the hexagonal. I mean, they really need a big result against Panama in Panama, and then if that happens, then Jamaica is going to host Haiti, and then you don't have to worry about it. But I'll say this right now. If you're asking me who's going to the Hex, we already know Mexico's in, so there's 5 other decisions to make. Group A, Canada, you're coming to the hexagonal.
Wow.
I'm calling it right here. I'm calling it right now. Canada, you're going to the hex. That's what I believe in, and that's what's going to happen. I believe it's going to happen. Right now, that's in Group A, where we know Mexico's already through. Group B, I'll say Costa Rica, and just to make it interesting, Panama will go to the hexagonal. I see them eliminating Jamaica. I don't think Jamaica's going to go, but we'll see what happens. And of course, in Group C, Trinidad and Tobago, United States, it's going to be the battle for who's going to be opening the hex against Mexico at home. So that's going to be for the top spot, and we'll see what happens. But definitely Trinidad and Tobago, United States, Costa Rica and Panama, and and Canada. Canada will join Mexico in the hexagonal.
Wow. You heard it here first. And I think we deserve to take a break after this. We need to regain our composure because you actually talked about Canada going to the
Turn on
hex.
the fans, folks. I know you're dying right now.
Exactly. We'll be right back with some Premier League and deadline day talk.
You are listening to SPN Radio, powered by the Sports Podcasting Network. Visit sportspodcastingnetwork.com for more.
Thanks to St. Clair. You can find their EP Moving On stclair.bandcamp.com. All right, Daniel, deadline day yesterday.
But before we go to the deadline, I have to ask you this. Did you get from ESPN FC's Dan Thomas to do your intros and outros, or no?
No, it's a fellow from the UK.
Okay.
I don't remember his name, but it's not the guy from ESPN.
Oh, okay.
That would have been awesome. But
that would have been awesome if that was him. I've been like, how'd you get this?
Oh, I do have my connections, so we'll see.
That's true. You do. Okay, so let's go ahead.
First of all, to transition to Europe, which club or which part of the European game fascinates you, Daniel?
I mean, I always love watching the Premier League in England. But what really fascinates me is what goes on in the Bundesliga, and I think the Bundesliga is just such high-packed energy. Nothing wrong with the Premier League, obviously, but in Germany, it's such a chess match. Every club can, outwork each other, can outthink each other. And I know Bayern Munich has always had the clamps on the Bundesliga title every single season, even though it's now Carlo Ancelotti and no longer Pep Guardiola, but still though, I'm just fascinated every single week to see these clubs in the Bundesliga to just, try to outthink each other. It's such a giant chess match. It's just unbelievable. I love the Premier League, of course. I restarted watching the game back after the '94 World Cup came. And my club that I've been supporting is Manchester United, not because of Sir Alex Ferguson, not because of David Beckham, not because of Ryan Giggs, but because English tourists coming to Walt Disney World when I was working down there my summers in Walt Disney World. So I kept a list of like, okay, how many jerseys am I going to see of these clubs from England? And it was 13 Man United. It was 5 for Liverpool, 4 for Newcastle, 1 for Man City, and there was 1 English national team shirt that didn't count. So there you go. I mean, I think that's fair. Do you think that was fair?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking about Manchester United, are you surprised by the amount of money they splashed in this offseason, bringing Zlatan, Pogba back, and all those players that we're not used to seeing Man United spend that much of money? That's even without talking about the coach himself.
You know what? I think Manchester United finally understood that, while they've got some talented players like Rashford that came through the academy, obviously, I think they had to be honest. You're getting Jose Mourinho, and you're going to have to do some splashing of cash around Europe to bring people in, to bring players in. I am confident and of the belief Zlatan Ibrahimovic, it doesn't matter what league he plays in, he'll destroy that league just by the sheer brilliance of his shots, because that man what he has done for Inter Milan, Barcelona, Paris Saint-Germain, even though I understand not a lot of people believe there's enough quality in Ligue 1, but still, though, what the man has done, every league he gets into, every country he gets into, he just takes them on and takes them down all by himself. 3 goals already playing for Manchester United. I mean, give me a break. How he's able to be in position and to score so brilliantly and beautifully is just unbelievable what he can do. It's a shame he couldn't do it that well for Sweden, but you know what?
He can't do everything by himself.
I know, but he can. It's Ibra. It's Zlatan.
Yeah, we'll see.
Zlatan!
It's interesting too in the Premier League because right now, as we speak, there's a congestion on top. Man United 3 wins, City 3 wins, Chelsea 3 wins, and there's some surprise too. But I don't think Leicester will be in that conversation this year, and we're probably not going to get another Leicester for a long time coming. Is there a big transfer that surprised you? We've seen Chelsea bring back David Luiz late yesterday, and other great moves around the continent. Any move that catches your attention?
Well, I will say this. I thought David Luiz was going to remain with PSG because, with the past he had with Chelsea and the way, they didn't want to keep him. But now he's back with Chelsea, and he feels confident now to help out that back line. So I was a little bit surprised that he went back to England and went back to Chelsea. But, hey, if that's where he wants to go, that's where he wants to go. I felt bad for Joe Hart, to be honest with you. I know Joe Hart is now with Torino in Italy, which I think it's a great place for him to be a solid keeper. I don't think he fell off at all, but with the way that how managers are, a new manager comes into a club. Yes, they have their keeper for life, you might say, in Joe Hart, but he wanted his own keeper there, so. I felt bad for him, and hopefully, I know it's a season loan at Torino, and hopefully he'll do well and get back out there. But, I just got a funny feeling that maybe if Joe Hart does transfer back to England, he's not going to be back at Manchester City. No. I think he might be somewhere else, whether it's in the Premier League or below the Premier League. He'll be back in England somewhere else.
Torino is not that type of team where it's going to be that easy. His backline is not going to be the best in Italy. He's not used to that league, the little intricacies. There is some history of England players going to Italy and having great success over there, but England players are not the one to travel the best, having bigger success usually in England itself and not outside, not in the old continent. So it will be interesting to see how Joe Hart manages the pipes at Torino.
Yeah, really true. And you know what, though? I will say this. If you want to talk about certain players that, certain clubs were grateful that they didn't lose a lot. I mean, Riyad Mahrez, I thought, was absolutely a pivotal player to keep for Leicester City because, let's be honest, as great as Jamie Vardy has been last year and at the start of this year right now, I think Riyad Mahrez is the key in the cog to feed balls and to support Vardy when they are attacking down the other side. I mean, I know they lost a top-notch defender, unfortunately, but still, though, I felt for Leicester, keeping Riyad Mahrez was very, very important. And right now, I think if you think about it, I think when you're saying, we can't believe Man United splashed the cash and it's just from, when you have Mourinho as your manager, let's also be honest at the same time. I felt that the way that these clubs were spending and bringing in players in the transfer market, there is an insult there. They felt insulted. They felt insulted because Leicester City, a club where they have never had a successful season, any level of English football, that all of a sudden, what the heck just happened? You bring in Claudio Ranieri, and this is the man that does the impossible, does the unthinkable, and Leicester's on the map. Leicester truly is on the map for international football, meaning everyone's eyes are watching Leicester. Can they do it again? Maybe not this year, but if they keep these players and they go against, once again, these top clubs all over the Premier League, I wouldn't put it past them to maybe do it again, not this year, maybe another year, maybe next season, maybe another 2 seasons. But still, these top sides in the Premier League, like Liverpool, like Man City, like Man United, like Arsenal, they felt insulted.
Yeah, and they're gonna try to this year to take back the Premier League. That's why you have the three clubs right now undefeated on top of the league: City, Chelsea, United. You have Everton at 7 points, Hull 4, Middlesbrough, then followed by Spurs, Arsenal, Leicester, and to finish the top 10, West Brom. Those are your top 10. Right now, the big surprises after 3 games in the Premier League. We're in the international break now. The next games are Saturday, September 10th. Liverpool in 11th position with a differential of -1, 4 points out of 3 games. They have that great victory against Arsenal, but it's not an easy beginning of season for Liverpool. Outside of that, it's pretty much how we expected it's going to be.
I have to tell you, it's early in the season once again, and now we're at the international break, getting ready for World Cup qualifying. UEFA comes into World Cup qualifying now. There's going to be, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of question marks. I mean, some might look at Leicester as a one-year fluke. I would like to hope it's not. And let's not forget, Leicester's going to be playing in the Champions League this year. I mean, Champions League. I mean, we'll see what Leicester can do. Apparently, it feels like maybe their group is an easy group to get out of, and we'll see what happens if they are able to get out of it. But could you imagine what it would be like at Leicester to see international competition coming into that stadium? It's just been unbelievable what happened last year, and hopefully for Leicester, the dream continues on for them.
No, exactly. But there is some speculation in Anfield that everything is not as it seems. We'll see how it unfolds. Another transfer that happened, Balotelli is now a player for Ligue 1 with OGC Nice. So we'll see if he can put his career back on track in another different league. Balotelli, a player with a lot of upsides, but with a lot of downside outside the pitch.
I thought Moussa Sissoko coming to Tottenham, I thought that's a big move right there.
Well, yeah, of course, Sissoko, a prolific player in the Premier League with Newcastle, now going to continue his Premier League career. Just drawing blanks here, but it's going to be interesting to see what he brings to that team.
Yeah, very true. And then, of course, let's also not forget DeAndre Yedlin is now with Newcastle United. So, I mean, I think for DeAndre Yedlin, I think it's a great move, obviously, because let's be honest with ourselves here, Kevin. Sometimes you hope and pray that some of the players, either they're from Canada or from the United States, when they go to the Premier League, that they get used right away because, they have their own national team's career to think about as well. And obviously, depth chart will always be the one thing that will prevent them from maybe getting significant minutes. But you know what? My feeling is this. Look, if you wanted to bring this player over and to transfer him over and play for your club in whether the Premier League or the Bundesliga, the Serie A or La Liga, listen, his career for the U.S. national team or the Canadian national team or for Mexico's national team should not be in vain.
No, exactly. That's a very fair point. And the championship is a pretty high level. We've seen actually big names sign in the championship this transfer window, especially yesterday. That surprised a lot of people. Newcastle, a team that went down last year, first time in a long time is it in championship and is looking to come back right away into the Premier League next year. So a player like DeAndre Yedlin will get hopefully a lot of playing time in the championship, and who knows, might have a starting job in the Premier League next year just by staying with that club.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see what happens then. But other than that, Kevin, I think it's been an active transfer window. I think whichever clubs they felt they got the players that they needed to get off on a better foot, to like what Man City and Man United have done at the same time, and Chelsea as well. I think Conte has been so far a solid manager to bring over after the debacle that happened last season. But I will say this, we're going to have to see what's going to happen with him, especially in the Premier League, to see if Conte can handle the quirkiness of the Premier League, you might say, to see how he's going to handle his rotation. If there is a squad rotation, we'll have to wait and see what he can do.
Exactly. Daniel, I want to thank you very much for doing the show with me today. And can you tell our listeners where they can find your work?
Yes, obviously, once again, blogtalkradio.com/Feuerstein's Fire. I am now with Once a Metro of SB Nation covering the New York Red Bulls. If you like to follow my tweets, I'm on Twitter at capital letter D, capital letter F, lowercase EUER, S as in Sam, TEIN. And Duane owes me a blue.
And we'll be right back tomorrow, 11 a.m. for Soccer Today. Until then, have a great soccer. You were listening to SPN, the Sports Podcasting Network. Visit us, sportspodcastingnetwork.com.